Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ask Grit, episode number 35. Today we were supposed to have Alo, but he had to go to see a client, so Daniel is filling up. How are you, Daniel?
Not bad, Naveen. How are you?
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so as usual, what we are doing is we are answering questions live on Facebook so that it can add value to most of you. So yeah, Dan, let's go.
All right. Firstly, the questions I have, Naveen, are quite diverse. So firstly, I have a question that came up with a customer early this week. What exactly is included in construction or build cost? Are all permits related to construction included? Are all parts of building included in build costs?
Yeah, it depends on who you get the quotes from. I mean, in terms of builders, they have retail divisions as well as wholesale divisions, right? And if you get a quote from a retail division, typically the bare bones are included and not the full cost. So, but at the same time, if you get a quote from a wholesale division of the builder that has a fixed price turnkey inclusions list, that pretty much everything from the driveway to the letterbox to landscaping, blinds, the whole lot. And you will have a peace of mind when you go with a wholesale builder. As an investor, especially, that is the way to go, because that way you have a build contract which includes everything and there's no additional cost involved. But as a home buyer or a first home buyer who wants to live in, there can be a lot of tweaks which are required. They might want to go into details, and some people prefer to go the distance and do that. But it really depends on the contract, and you have to really do a deep dive on the inclusions. And as long as there is black and white, you will have all the inclusions. If not, you will not.
Right. So would that be right to say, Naveen, that if you go for build contract, sometimes it can be like buying the co-product of a car, and then the full turnkey would be with all the inclusions of power steering, power shutters, all of those things. Would that be a good example?
Yeah, that's correct.
So you get everything.
Yeah, I mean, and those are essentials too, right? I mean, if you look at a house, you can't rent out a house without blinds. You can't rent out a house without landscaping. And one is, especially from an investment point of view, one is time and then money.
Money, of course.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Thanks. I mean, how the other one is, how can I keep the building cost down? This is not a question from my clients, but this is another colleague's customer has asked this. So
how can you keep the cost down? It's difficult to keep the cost down right now because the construction industry is at a peak state, and there's a lot of supplies. Demand for the supplies have gone up, and the costs have really gone up for all the building supplies, and hence the construction cost is up. But I mean, for you to keep the construction cost down, if you're an investor, what you need is the essentials, and it has to be a nice quality home with everything you need, and to get a best return on your investment. So one way to keep the cost down is not go into bells and whistles of, say, for example, you have a bench top. Someone might want to say, I want waterfalls on the bench top. That is going to be additional $2,000. Someone might say, I want full timber flooring as opposed to tiles or laminated timber. Or they might do a lot of upgrades, which might be an overkill. But having said that, if it's your own home, it's the place you live in, and there's a bit of an emotional factor into it. But then again, overcapitalizing, if you can avoid overcapitalizing your property, you can save a lot of money.
Thanks, Naveen. All right. Did the government incentives, the next question, did the government incentives home builder grant affect the construction cost? If it did, how so?
Yeah, so the grants have resulted in, firstly, early 2021, there was home builder grants, which was offered, and a lot of people jumped on it because that was a lot of money offered. That resulted in property boom as well as a construction boom. A lot of people got into building contracts to claim the grants, and that resulted in a lot of jobs for all the builders. And that had a ripple effect on the building supplies, especially timber. So definitely the grants had an impact on the construction industry, that had an impact on the property market. And in turn, it had a ripple effect on the building supplies.
All right. There's another question that came in from a customer just now regarding the second question. The second question was, how can I keep my building costs down? This customer asks, would the best thing be to act right now?
Yeah, of course. Builders have no choice but to increase their costs because they cannot simply build for the old prices, because the construction cost or the building supplies cost has really gone up. I mean, especially timber, the roof trusses and frames have gone up by about 70%. And I mean, overall, you're looking at 25 to 70% rise in all building supplies. So there's a significant challenge for the builders, and they have no choice but to increase the construction cost. And it's only going to get worse because now we see a lot of investors coming in, and the borders are opening up, and the overseas investors will also jump in, and it can only get worse. That's absolutely right. I mean, if you're thinking about building, act fast.
Do it soon. Thanks, Naveen. Second, okay, question number 5 with the additional question that came in just now. If I've contracted my building and construction is to begin in 12 months or more, what is the risk for me when building costs go up?
I mean, as long as you sign a fixed price building contract, which has everything you need, builders cannot change that. But if it is a standard contract where there are clauses saying builders can increase the prices, then they can raise the price up, or they can raise a variation to say the construction cost has to go up. So you really have to look at what you're signing up for. Ideally, it has to be a fixed price building contract so that you can have peace of mind.
All right. So, of course, be diligent enough to know that it's a fixed price contract and that can't vary no matter what.
Correct.
All right. Okay. Question number 6. How much has construction gone up lately? How much more do you think it will rise?
I think construction overall has gone up by about 20%, 15-20%. And it can, I mean, builders are trying their best not to raise the construction cost because it's not healthy for the industry. But I mean, if the demand is such that, I mean, we are looking at, for the last quarter, we are looking at record numbers, right? Over 60,000 builds have started, and units have reached around 40,000 plus. So these are records. And if this continues, there will be pressure on the suppliers, and in turn, construction cost has to go up.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Next question. This is a question that just came in. How important is it to pick the best builder, or are they all the same?
No, builders are not all the same. I mean, you got to take into account how many builds they do for a year, how much experience they have under their belts, how long they have been in the industry. I mean, at Grit, we work with only the best of the best because we don't want any issues later on. That's very important for you to know the experience of the builder, how long they have been in the industry, what sort of volumes they do. Because as a builder, they need to be able to handle the cash flows, especially in a situation like this. If they cannot handle the cash flows, although they have a lot of jobs in hand, they can go under because of the cash flow issues. So the builder has to be solid. We typically work with large-scale builders who does over 1,000 properties per year.
Thank you, Naveen. So the credibility of the builder, his profile matters when you're going to build, and their reputation, of course. If they have a reputation at stake, it definitely matters, I would think. What's full turnkey and what's included in full turnkey? That's a question that just came in.
Yeah. So full turnkey means pretty much everything is included and it's ready to be rented out. It includes your dishwasher, your cooker, your heating, your cooling, your flooring, toilet rail holders, towel rail holders. These are little things, but it all matters for a tenant. Not only that, blinds for the windows throughout the house, landscaping, front and the rear, letterboxes, clotheslines, antennas. Again, little things. As an investor, you don't have time to go and do these things later on. And as I said before, even if you're going to save say $10,000, $20,000 by going into a retail builder, that $20,000 will be going out of your pocket to do your investment property, which doesn't make any financial sense because this is an investment. You should borrow 80%, 90%, whatever you want, and then put everything on the loan and let tenant pay off your mortgage rather than you putting your own money down.
Right. So it would be correct to say that when it's turnkey, everything is included. All the occupier needs to do is bring probably his fridge, his dishwasher, his fridge, his microwave, his washing machine, and of course furniture and clothes, and move into the house. Correct. So a few white goods and your personal goods, and move into the house, ready to occupy.
That's right.
Okay, thanks, Amin. What are the stages of construction? How do progress payments work? It's all coming in, I think, because we started off with a construction question. This gentleman
I think focus today is probably construction, which is good. It's a hot topic right now. In terms of stages, there's 5 stages. So once you put the deposit, initial stages, you put the 5% deposit, and then you have the base stage, which is a foundation. You lay the foundation. Then you have the frame stage where you put the frame up of the house. Third stage is lockup. Lockup means all your bricks have been laid, your roof has been done. So the house is at a lockup. You cannot go in. The doors have been put in place. And then you have the fixed stage where you get the interior done, your kitchen cabinet, tiling, and things like that. And then finally, you have the final stage where you do all the touch-ups, the landscaping, all the works, and then you have the handover. So those are the 5 stages.
All right. Thank you. Okay. And those are the 5 stages that progress payments happen. Are those 5 stages you mentioned? Correct,
yes.
Naveen?
Yeah. So then, if the bank is paying for it, typically builder invoices the client, and the client sends that to the bank, and the bank will have a look and then process the payment. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Next question. Once construction has started, is it too late to make changes such as tiling, carpets, colors, etc.?
No, once the contracts have been signed, if they want to do a variation, that it can be done as a variation. You can change the colors of the carpet. You can upgrade it. It might be a costly one. It might be a non-costly one. It can be a free change, but that's the process. You sign the contracts, and then all your variations can go in later on.
All right. So variations can be done even though you have signed contracts, and you can make slight changes to how it ends up, how the bill ends up being. Okay. How long is the typical build time for an average house?
Yeah, typically it will be done in about 6 to 7 months. But if you look at a building contract, you're looking at between 210 to 250 days. The reason for that is they allow delays for bad weather, holidays, and so forth. But typically it will be done in 6 to 7 months max.
6 to 7 months. All right. And so that would change if there's bad weather, etc. There could be a slight variance, but that's all in contract.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Naveen. Okay. Do construction costs vary from state to state, from suburb to suburb?
It does. It does. For example, the construction cost in Brisbane or Queensland is quite high if you compare with Victoria, and same with New South Wales. And even if you take Victoria, the regional construction cost is a bit higher than metro. So yeah, each state is different, each area is different, each suburb is different. Site cost also plays a big role. Some lands are quite flat, some has a lot of site cost involved. So it all plays a part, and then access to the suburb also plays a part.
Okay, all right. What might be the hidden costs in construction that we don't know about when we sign contracts?
Yeah, you need to, as a buyer, you need to clarify everything without having any doubts. There should not be any hidden cost. Because you're signing a building contract, there should not be any hidden cost. At least if there are exclusions, you need to know, you need to be aware of what those exclusions are. If there's certain things missing, if certain things are not being costed for, you need to be aware of it so that you can budget for that after the build. But ideally, it should be a fixed price contract.
So fixed price, it should be final price or final contract price, and there shouldn't be any variance between the two of them.
Yeah.
Okay, through the construction process, how am I kept up to date on progress with construction?
Yeah, I mean, when we are handling construction jobs for our clients, we keep them up to date on every step of the way through pictures, videos, and so forth. But typically, builders do keep them up to date with pictures after each stage, so that the clients are aware of what's going on. Especially when the clients are overseas, we service them through pictures, videos on a monthly basis, so that they are fully up to date on what is going on.
Okay, right. Okay, next question is, Naveen, what happens if there are defects once construction is finished? Are they covered, or will I have to fix them myself?
No, if there are defects, there's always 3 to 6 months warranty periods, and especially after a handover, we recommend getting a building inspector to check it out, because there are certain things which we don't see and which the qualified building inspectors would see. And once they give you a report of all the defects, and the builders will take that and fix them before the handover. And even if they don't do a building inspector, as a buyer, if you're thorough enough to do the inspection, if you come up with any issues, the builders will fix it before the handover.
Would that be one benefit, Naveen, about buying a brand new property, unlike buying an existing property?
No, absolutely. It's brand new, and there's a defect liability period. Even for the structure of the building, I mean, you get 7 to 25 years with some of the builders, and you have a peace of mind.
Yeah, that's one thing I think is quite a lot of value. The last question that I have on hand, unless someone types in a question in between, many builders have structural warranties, like you said. What does that mean, and what does it include? So I think we just went through that. You answered that before as well, but if you can elaborate.
Yeah, so structural warranty is typically by law, you need to have 7 years, and some builders offer 25 years, 30 years. What that means is, if something structurally happens to your house while you're living in it, or while it's an investment, it can be a huge crack through the wall, or it can be a huge crack through the ground floor, something drastic. If something happens, the builder has to fix that up. So builder is liable for each and every house by law for 7 years. So, and the defect liability period is different, typically 3 to 6 months based on each builder. During that 3 months, if there's any issues, any minor issues which you see while the property is settling in, they will come in and fix it. But structural warranty is given, it's by law, by 7 years.
There's another question that just came in now. What if these builders, once you report the issue, what if the builders do not act on it, or how fast will they act on it?
Each of the builders have a maintenance department, and it's very important to selecting a builder how fast they act on it, because there will be issues with any builder, because it's all subcontracted. but it's how they react to those issues and how they fix it. I mean, typically, turnaround time for any of these issues would be maximum 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. Some are quicker, but definitely within 2 to 3 weeks, most builders fix them up.
All right. That's about all I have at the moment, Naveen. I don't think anyone is typing anything else at the moment. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, I think there's one more. With the current construction boom, is there a risk of builders going bust? Absolutely. I mean, to the point we were discussing before, more construction jobs doesn't mean their financial situation is healthy, because more construction jobs means those are the cash flow will be coming in the future. But if someone has taken up a lot of jobs, say in 2019 or 2020, which settling now, if they don't have the capacity to do so, there'll be a lot of cost escalations from the building supplies, and it can be quite detrimental if the builder doesn't have the capacity to do so. So there is definitely a chance of happening. Some builders, it has already happened. I know one build in Queensland, it has happened, but that's a very good question. It can happen.
So again, it refers to the credibility and the profile of the builder you're using, and how practiced and how well they're used to doing this sort of thing, even though there's a high volume right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's actually a good question. All right, that's about all we have for now, Naveen. I don't see anyone typing anything else at the moment. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Let's give it a few seconds at least, Naveen, to see if anyone is putting in anything more.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one more. Another good question. If I have already signed a contract, if the builder goes down, what is the process in place for me to find another builder? Yeah, so if you have already paid some money to a builder, then there is a process in place is for you to claim that back, and then it will be claimed back through the insurance, and then you can find another builder. But if you have not paid any money, it's a matter of canceling the existing contract and going with another builder. But if the house is already been built halfway through, then it's a bit complicated, because they have started work, they can't continue again. They have to go through the insurance process, and then you have to make sure you're not paying more money to build to another builder. So it might take some time, but you'll get there at the end.
All right. All right. Anything else, gentlemen, ladies?
Good. 20 minutes. Thank you so much for listening. Hope we added some value to you. I mean, the focus was construction, as we can see, but there can be another focus next week. But we'll be doing this every week. It'll be Thursday or Friday based on our schedules, but every week this is happening. So tune in, ask away, and don't forget the fortnightly webinars we are conducting. Next one is focusing on Perth, but wherever you might be, it will be useful. Please register for those webinars. The links will be on all our social media channels. Very useful information. One of our guides or coaches will educate you on some strategies which you can in terms of profit investment. So don't forget that. Until we see you next week, have a wonderful weekend.
Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. All the best. Thank you.